Hello, leader. Thank you for joining me today for episode 130 of the Fierce Factor podcast. This week, I'm sharing a bonus episode, an episode I recorded earlier this year that really illustrates the key success traits that I have uncovered through my years of interviewing, working with, and observing top injectors in our industry. And as I have been running 3 programs this year, yes, 3, including our Pop Aesthetic Leadership Academy, our Confidence to Scale 6-week business growth certification program, and TAP, Transforming Aesthetic Practices, a private business marketing accelerator in collaboration with Jan Marini Skin Research, I'm finding that this episode becomes more and more relevant as the year progresses. So today I've assembled a powerful list of practical and tactical knowledge I've gained working with some of these most successful injectors around the globe. These successes are secrets that become common traits that each of these injectors share and that I believe contribute to their unstoppable success. So many times we look up to people in our industry, we see injectors or we see providers, and we think that maybe it was the things they did, or maybe it was the tactics or the luck that they had, or a certain position that they were in that really catapulted them to the level of success that they have. But what I found, it's really more about who they are, how they make decisions, and really how they embody becoming that woman that is showing up as a thought leader in our industry. And so I'm really excited to share this episode with you today, a reshare. Please feel free to send this to any top injector you admire or anyone who's looking to become one of the top 2% in our industry and really stand out as a top successful female injector. And I hope you enjoy and have an amazing week. See you soon, Goddess. Hi there. Welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. I am coming in hot today with some key insights that I have gained working to help 100 inspiring and intentional women cross the next $1 million milestone in their business last year. You are tuning in to episode 96, Success Secrets of Top Female Aesthetic Injectors. I remember way back 15 years ago, I know when I was 5, I was fresh to the aesthetic industry, attending my first conference, and I watched thought leaders speak on stage, and I truly envied the way that they commanded the room, the way people would watch and listen and take notes. And I wondered, what made one injector so skilled, so knowledgeable, so magnetic that they could capture the attention of hundreds of others? What made them so damn special? And this curiosity has really underpinned much of the work that I do as a leadership coach, because I have learned that it's really not about what people do, but instead how people think and make decisions that separates the top 2% from the average. I would sit and take notes on how they moved on stage, their inflections and pauses, how they told stories to help the audience relate to them, what they chose to wear, how they would make eye contact. And as I advanced in my corporate career, I was tasked with working with these key industry influencers to help them really gain exposure as advocates for the products and services that my company would sell. And through this work, I had the opportunity to ask questions about how they trained and prepared and rested. Of course, that's an important part of it. So often we see others we look up to and we think, oh man, they're so lucky, or they had the right connections or resources. But over time, I began to see that there was an internal grit. There was just this something that was so intangible, I couldn't even explain it, that so many true thought leaders had in common. And it's this it factor that was something that I not only wanted to explore and define, but I also wanted for myself. And as my practice has evolved, I've had the experience of gaining key insights really through intimate and vulnerable relationships with hundreds of female entrepreneurs. And look, there is no question that there is a formula to achieving this iconic status. But in the aesthetic wellness industry, what I generally see are injectors looking at perceived success of their role models from the outside in, meaning they'll ask tactical questions like, what's your membership program or EMR or marketing agency? And some will spend their entire career on a carousel of chasing today's trends because they don't bother to ask the more powerful questions about who do I need to become to achieve that level of success or fulfillment. Here's the thing. Someday, Instagram will be gone, Facebook will be gone, the platform you are using to listen to this podcast will be antiquated. But core success principles that shaped the DNA of a powerhouse leader, those are timeless. And it's this timeless way of being that allows the top 2% to achieve success again and again and again because it becomes who they are. Today, I've assembled a powerful list of practical and tactical knowledge that I've gained while working with some of the most successful injectors around the globe. And these success stories are common traits that each of them share, and they're really what I believe contribute to unstoppable success of the very top female aesthetic injectors. Success secret number one is that they have a very selective, tight group of trusted advisors. I remember a few years back talking with a client who had hired me to help her build her rebrand strategy. And so I was presenting her my suggested approach, and she came back to me and said, well, I love it. This is amazing. I need to ask around. I was like, what? She said, I was talking with my massage therapist and she really wasn't feeling the vibe. Now I'm all in for doing market research. In fact, we had conducted a focus group with her most valuable consumers. We received feedback from key employees and business partners. We had combined this knowledge with key insights we have regarding consumer behavior and market demand. This was a very well thought out proposal. This wasn't like flying by the seat of our pants kind of a thing. But this client had a very difficult time making a decision because she had this underlying fear of losing or upsetting clients who didn't agree with that. This was the right decision for the business, but she couldn't get behind it because she valued everyone's opinion instead of the ones that really counted. And by that meaning, her very most valuable customers and herself, and her business. Top injectors don't survey the entire community when they want to make a strategic pivot in their business. They have a core group of trusted advisors who they commission around them to help them insource their own wisdom, access their creativity, and confidently move in a way that's in alignment with their own core values. Their approach is uniquely different. It's an entire mindset shift from, I need to make everyone happy, to I need to do what's right for me and my business and my most valued clients. Top injectors selectively choose who to allow into their business ecosystem and into their ear. Success secret number two, they have a proprietary method. Leader, pull up Instagram accounts for 5 med spas in your town and tell me what you see. Before and after lip images, let me guess, promotions and discounts, a video of laser hair removal, and a patient testimonial. But pull up 100 Instagram accounts and one of them will have a video interview of a provider with her patient telling a story about how unique her method or her approach is and how that has changed someone's life. Or an educational video about her signature methodology that has been adopted by colleagues around the globe. Top injectors come to market with a core belief system that guides the way they operate clinically and within their business. She typically believes in something that's contrary to the majority of the collective. Instead of jumping into something because she believes there's demand and opportunity, instead she identifies a gap in the market where most will not go, and she owns that space. At the minimum, 30% of her digital marketing footprint showcases her unique philosophy, and she's recognized for that. She's not recognized for the services she offers. She's recognized for her philosophy. Number 3 success secret of top injectors: they don't just learn, they teach. When I ask a thought leader what she thinks has made her so successful, she might claim that she was lucky, she was in the right place at the right time, she worked her butt off, and every so often she'll say something such as, "I'm always learning." And of course, this is the modest way of saying that she's full of curiosity and creativity. But what she doesn't say, but you and I know, is that she's not just learning by reading books and attending more trainings. She's acquiring new skills by leading those trainings. As an educator and coach, I will tell you that I have learned by teaching curriculum in real life 100 times faster and with greater mastery than I ever did by hearing someone else talk about it. And I personally believe that growth comes from about 10% of learning and 90% of independent thinking and application. And so leader top injectors are very discerning about how they spend their time and their brain share. There's really an evolution that happens as an injector builds her confidence in thought leadership. So I'll break this out for you into 4 different phases. Phase number 1, she begins as a student who is constantly learning, always seeing herself or himself as a sponge, soaking up knowledge. She markets the things she offers, the products, the services, the bundles, the treatments. She's very excited and eager to learn. Phase number 2, she begins to develop her own collection of techniques. So this is really where she starts taking bits and pieces of key learnings from others and developing this sort of mixed bag of tricks that she can access as she threads them together into her own way of doing things. So she may begin by dabbling in teaching some basic techniques because she feels like she's advancing, and she starts to explore and try different types of treatment methodologies or different types of approaches and starting to kind of develop her own collection of technique. And then in phase number 3, she really discovers a new way of approaching her craft that's just not like anyone else. She begins to do it her own way, which stands for something usually unconventional. She starts to really resent the group think, and she feels a little bit frustrated that people haven't caught up to her magic. She starts to share her philosophy with others, and she starts to really put herself out there. And then she begins to be recognized as someone who others start to look up to and want to follow. And then finally, there's this full blossoming of the rose, of the flower, to phase 4, where we find the Julie Horns of the world, right? The top 1%. She is so fiercely confident in what she has and who she is and how she approaches her business that she is done convincing others. She is in high demand for her services. She is monetizing her brand reputation, and her work stands uncontested. She is competitionless because she runs in a category of 1. All right, success secret number 4, top female injectors think in 5-year milestones. So this one's a bit obscure because the only way to learn about the way someone really thinks about their business and where they personally see themselves belonging in their business ecosystem is by having deep conversations with them. And as I've had the privileges of working with dozens of key thought leaders in our industry, I've recognized one nuance that collectively drives their decision-making, and that is with the future in mind. A couple of years ago, I was asked to speak on an expert panel with a board-certified MD injector who, let's be real, when she speaks, she fills the whole damn room. And I'll never forget, after our talk, she pulled me aside and she said, "That was great, but you know, Kaylee, about 10% of the people in this audience will actually be able to implement what they just learned." I was like, what do you mean? And she said, it's not because they're lazy or they don't have the ambition to be successful, but because most people are too focused on what they can adopt today to make change happen. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that kind of the point? And she's like, but the top 10% who are building their business sustainably are here to build the relationships and to develop the skills that will become mastery 3 to 5 years down the road. And then we got off on this tangent talking about the military decision-making process. Did you know that this was even a thing? MDMP, military decision-making process. So this is an iterative planning methodology that military officials use to understand a situation and a mission, develop a course of action, and produce an operation or plan or order. And she talks about how failure often occurs where there's a lack of analytic depth, faulty assumptions, vague analysis, and wishful thinking. She says there are 2 common barriers to clear thinking, and those are psychological and logical fallacies. And so this whole military decision-making process basically tells us that during planning, assessment focuses on developing an understanding of the current situation and then determining how to progress and move forward, essentially preparing a plan with the most strategic and thoughtful process without just making assumptions or simply adopting something because someone else has done that. And that was sort of her point. It's like we're at these conferences and we're talking and on this panel, and all these people are like trying to learn how to adopt the things of today. And I see this a lot where I find myself really thinking, okay, well, this is probably working okay, but I don't know what I don't know. So what could I do better? And her point is like, top injectors are really creating sustainable growth by thinking and planning for the future with this really expansive vision, and then commissioning the resources they need to properly analyze and make decisions and move them into that future vision. They're not reactive, responsive, or impulsive, but instead methodically and strategically making moves behind the scenes before anyone ever knows about them. So usually 3 to 5 years ahead. I completely agree with that statement. And finally, leader success secret number 4 is that they invest heavily in personal development. Talk to the most successful, most fulfilled person you know, and 100% of the time, they are striving to become better. A couple weeks ago, I got an Instagram message from someone we had reached out to invite to our free masterclass. And she said, I'm already busy. I can barely keep up with the demand I have. And I thought to myself, number 1, that sounds like an infrastructure problem. Business consultant to me, right? That you aren't able to expand your business. But number 2, there isn't anyone that is above investing in developing themselves. In fact, your business will undoubtedly stagnate if you are not investing in your own personal growth. Because as a business owner and leader, your business, it can't outgrow you. Running a business is about 20% mechanics and 80% mindset. You can have all the top, we'll call them fidgets, gadgets, and widgets, right? Social platforms, technology, launch strategies, it doesn't matter. But if you can't trust employees, if you can't handle adversity, if you can't stop operating from the same mechanical place that you did 5, 10 years ago, the tactics, the things that you put in there into your business, those just don't matter. The only way to build a lucrative, freedom-based business that stands the test of time is to learn how to become the leader who is capable of achieving that success. End of story. The most liberating space you will ever find is when you take accountability for all of your results, success and failures. It's the place where you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, learning from those experiences and growing into the person who can go into that same experience again, but arrive as a different version of yourself. And that is the real magic of how you get to where you want to go. Not only with financial achievement, but with authentic fulfillment for who you have become. You can look in the mirror, look at yourself and say, I'm proud of you. I have become her. I am her. I am someone who can make a real impact and put a fingerprint on this world and leave a legacy behind. Wait, before you go, hey, if you're vibing with this conversation and you want to join me on my mission to help 100 inspiring and intentional women cross the next $1 million milestone in their business this year, or leader, maybe you want to become one of them, head over to Facebook and join our free community, the Fierce Factor Society. Over there, we're taking this conversation to an elevated level. Get access to resource guides, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me, my expert team, and of course, a society of fierce women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetic wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to Facebook and search the Fierce Factor Society. See you there, goddess.